Dark 30. Write a function 0 dark 30 that accepts a number as an argument. Okay, so we're going to write a function. Name this, and it's going to take one argument, and that argument is going to be a number. 0 dark 30 should return a number. Okay, so we're going to be given a number as an input, and we should return a number as an output, right? With all of the zeros removed. Okay, so we're going to be given something like this, and we're going to get rid of all the zeros, right? Here we're going to take the zeros out. If the number 0 is passed, return not a number. Right? So if we're given literally 0, just return not a number. Great. Any questions about what the question's asking? It's like the concept. Okay, we just want to pick out the zeros. What is 0 dark 30 from? Isn't that like a book or something?
Yeah.
Movie? Isn't that like a pretty intense movie? I don't think they just take out zeros in that movie. Alright, I'm just curious. 0 dark.
It's about capturing good ones.
Oh, I see. Okay. Interesting. Alright, let's capture them. I'll use the function keyword just to like mix it up, right? Function 0 dark 30, right? Parentheses, this. And then here we accept the input, right? And that input's going to be a number. Okay? And then we'll do, let's see. Move this here. Here. Okay? Let's do the simple case where if we're given 0, right, we should be given not a number. So if they pass a 0, they should give us nan, right? And so to do this, right, you could say if the number is 0, right, return not a number. So this handles the most basic case, right? Now another way to do this, right, is we all know that 0 is falsy, right? So if we know that 0 is falsy, we can just do this. Why is that? If the number comes in and it's 0, okay, well, what's the opposite of the truthiness of 0? Well, what is 0? Is it truthy or falsy?
False.
It's falsy. Okay, what's the opposite of falsy? True. If true, return not a number, right? So this is only going to trigger if the num that's passed in is 0, right? So this is like saying if num is 0. If the thing is falsy, okay? And let's just make sure it doesn't work for 1, right? Wait, for 1 it doesn't trigger. Why? Because 1 comes in, 1 is truthy. So what's the opposite of true? False, right? So we don't go in here. And we don't return not a number when it's 1. Only when it's 0. Okay. Now we want to do the actual problem. So what's interesting is we actually have to convert this thing. We have to type coerce this thing into becoming a string. We have to coerce this thing into becoming a string. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that string, right? Imagine this has quotes around it. And then we're basically going to like loop through each character in the string. And then only if it's not a 0 are we going to add it to a new string. Okay? So what does that mean? Let's start here. Is 1 0? Right? No, it's not. So let's take that and let's put it into a new string. So now we have 1 here. Is 0 0? Yes. So let's skip it. Is 2 0? No, it's not. So let's put 2 here. So basically we're going to build up a new string that's based off of this old string. Right? We're going to construct this new thing. And then at the very end, right, we're going to have 1 2 3 2 as a string. So it's a type coerce that back to becoming a number and then kick back the number. Why are we doing all this type coercion? Why are we going from a number to a string? Because we can't look at individual digits. There's no way to do that in JavaScript. I can't loop through the digits of a number, unfortunately. I can only loop through the characters of a string, but I can't loop through the digits of a number. Okay, so say let string, the string version of the number is going to be string num. So we take something like this, and we type coerce it explicitly into becoming a string. Okay, great. Now what we want to do is we want to loop through the string, right? So for let I equal 0, I is less than. How do we get to the end of the string? String.length. Excellent. I plus plus, and here I'm going to console log, right? I, and you might think I is going to give me all the characters, right? But it's not. It's just going to give me the indices. This is the index of each character in here. So how can I use the index, right, to get each character in a string? Bracket notation. Bracket notation, right? So you do string bracket I. So you're saying, given a string like this, what is at position I? What is at position 0? Well, that's 1. What's at position 1? 0, right? Etc. Great. So now we get each character in our string, right? This number is now a string because we did this, okay? So now what we want to do is we want to build up a new string, right? So we want to build up a new string, and so let's initialize that, right? And we'll say like result, right, equals this empty string. And what we're going to do is we're going to check character by character and see if any one of these characters is 0 or not. And if it is not 0, we're going to go ahead and add that thing, whatever that is, to result. Okay. Before I do that, I'm going to take this and I'm going to assign it to another variable. I would recommend getting into the habit of doing this. Like whenever you iterate through a string and you're looking for each character, just assign it to something. Okay. So for this, I'll assign it to like, well, what is each one of these things? It's a digit, right? So we'll say digit equals this. And now I want to see what each digit is. It's the same thing. Okay. So now if the digit is not 0, then we want to append it to result. Plus equals digit. If the digit is not 0, right, take the digit and add it to result. And so we're going to start building this up as long as it's not 0. Okay? Yes. Exactly, right? And then at the very end, what should we return? We should, yes, we should return result, but because it's a string, someone said it should be a number, right? We have to convert it back to becoming a number. Great point. Exactly. Number result. Ooh, that is rough. So why is this not working? Well, here, let me just console log the digits, okay? If 0 does not equal 0, does 0 not equal 0 in this situation? It's a string. Yes. Thank you. So if the digit is not the string 0, really, really good point, then we're good. Right? Because when we're, by this point, when we're looking at each character in the string, now we're looking at each character as a string. So we're not looking at the number like 0, we're looking at the string 0. And so to see if the string 0 is not equal to the string 0. You can also see this kind of like being built up. So I'm going to console the digit and also like, I guess the result. Right, so the result starts as this empty string. We're going through the string. We get 1. Well, let's take 1. Since it's not 0, we're going to add it to result. So now we're building this thing up. 1 goes in here. And so that's that. And the 2 goes in there, etc. Yes?
For the if statement, if the digit is not 0.
Yeah.
So is there a reason that like you would intentionally phrase it in like the negative way, said differently? Like I phrased it like if the current character is true.
Is
Or,
true.
I guess because the string can't be true, so that's why it's not working.
Yeah. So good question, right? So you're saying if like digit is true or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the
It makes
digit.
sense in my head.
Yeah. No. I get what you're saying. So the digit can never be strictly equal to true. Strictly equal means think of it as like literally the same thing, right? The string 1 is not literally true, right? It's truthy, but it's not literally the same thing as true.
So if I use the double.
The double equal,
But we're not.
that's dangerous,
Yeah.
right? So the thing is, it still wouldn't work in that case, right? Because even though the string 1 is truthy, so is the string 0. A string, any string with any characters in it, is technically considered truthy. What is the only string that's falsy that's out there?
Like,
Blank string, right? So even a string that has 0 in it is actually truthy, which is kind of confusing, right? So yes, unfortunately, like we're gonna have to do this. I mean, if you really want, right, we could do something like this. If, right, we're gonna convert this into becoming a number. Okay, so number digit. So what happens if I convert the string 0 into the number 0? Then that thing is falsy, right? So if it is not, if it is false, actually we'll do this. If it is truthy, if we take the digit and we convert it to a number, and that number is truthy, then let's take that and add it here. This should also work. I think this is a little bit more clear, but this actually kind of works because we're like doing type coercion and stuff. But yeah, you can look at this later and think about like why this makes sense. But you want to make sure if you want to make sure that this if you want to account for 0 and leverage its truthy or falsiness, you want to make sure it's a number first. Cool. Just make sure it works for this thing, right? Ooh. So this thing that I did here actually doesn't work for decimals. We didn't get the decimal point in here. And the reason is because the decimal converted to a number is not a number. And so we don't add the decimal in here, unfortunately. So actually we have to do it this way. We have to do it this way.
Because the decimal would be a string.
Exactly. This decimal is a string, and if I try to numberify it, it's gonna give me not a number. And we can't do if that, and that's falsy, right? So if false, we don't get to go in here, and so decimal doesn't get added. So we have to do it this way. So does not work for decimals. Ooh,
Or is
man.
that just like a whole other thing?
I don't think so. I'm sure there's a way, but I'm sure there isn't. Cool. Any questions on 0 to x30? Yes.
I think I'm just so when you define digit,
Yeah.
declare digit, and you use the const instead of let.
Yeah.
Wouldn't technically the value of string index I that's continually changing, right? So
Yes.
So how come const works there?
Really good question. So really good question. So const, and actually we're gonna go over this with scope, I think. But you can define, right, variables in different scopes. Okay, you can use the same name for variable in different scopes. So very quickly, right? Like what I definitely can't do is something like this. Let name equals you, and then like let name equals me. I can't do this. Scary red error. Identifier name has already been declared. You can't use it again, right? What you can do is this: if true, define a variable and call it name, and that's going to be you, right? If true, same thing here. And then here I'll say I'm just in console log name, and we'll bring it here. This is fine. you can you can use the same characters to define a variable as long as they're in different blocks, right? And we'll learn about this in scoping, okay? And so, okay, if I do const here, that should also be fine, because the whole purpose of const is don't let anyone reassign this thing. Don't let anyone change my name, right? Nowhere are we changing the name. We're just initializing it here, and we're initializing it here. What you can't do is something like this: name equals something else. Right? Assignment, you can't do this. Okay, so knowing this, and knowing the fact that I can have a variable name declared in different scopes, right? If we have a for loop, one iteration of a for loop is actually a different block from another iteration. Okay, so this for loop, right, this looks like one thing, but it's actually like one thing that encapsulates multiple processes, right? And each one of those things are actually separate from each other. So you can, so it's not going to like define const. It's like it's as if we're defining const in different worlds, and that's allowed. Really good question. Cool. Where would const not work? Is it's like if I wanted to reassign digit at some point. So after I do this, I say, okay, like digit is now something else. I gotta run the function. It wouldn't work.
Say digit plus equals digit plus 1.
Yeah. So digit plus equals 1, right? You can't do this because this is the same thing as doing digit equals digit plus 1, right? And this is a reassignment right here. Really good question. A common mistake is doing something like this where I'm like, okay, digit is going to be up here. And I declare it there, and then here I want to like reassign it in here, right? I can't do that because this is const, and I can't reassign it. But we're about to go into this stuff in the scope. Any other questions on this? Cool.